You ever deal with someone who's so entitled? They think the rules just don't apply to them? Yeah, that was BMW guy, the man who turned my clearly labeled parking space into his personal VIP garage. But instead of yelling, fighting, or stooping to his level, I let karma do the heavy lifting. And by karma, I mean a tow truck with perfect timing. I live in a pretty average apartment complex. Not luxury, not a dump, just functional. You pay your rent, you get your one reserved parking space, and life goes on. Mine's 12B, painted bright white on the asphalt, right outside my building. It's my little square of guaranteed order in an otherwise chaotic world. You know the kind of comfort I am talking about, that tiny sense of security in knowing, yep, my spot's waiting for me, especially after a long workday. Or at least, that's how it was supposed to be. It started one Friday night. I'd just gotten home from a brutal week, the kind that drains every ounce of patience you have. I turned the corner toward 12B, and there it was. A shiny, spotless white BMW, parked perfectly in my space. For a second, I thought maybe I was mistaken. Maybe I turned into the wrong row. Nope. 12B, my number, my spot. At first, I gave the guy the benefit of the doubt. Mistakes happen. Maybe someone visiting got confused. So I left a note. Polite, friendly, neutral. Hey there, this is my reserved spot, 12B. Could you please use guest parking? Thanks. I even put a little smiley face at the end, because that's the kind of person I try to be. Next weekend, same story. Friday night, shiny BMW sitting smugly in my spot. Okay, maybe he didn't see the note. Maybe the wind took it. So I wrote another one. This time, no smiley face. Hi again. This is a reserved space. Please use guest parking. I stuck it under his wiper blade and drove off, trying not to stew about it. But weekend 3? That's when things changed. I pull in, and yep, he's there again. Same BMW, same arrogance. Only this time, fate decided to line up our schedules. As I'm parking in the guest lot, I see him, BMW guy, stepping out of his car. He's got that look. Designer sunglasses at dusk, Bluetooth earpiece, gym clothes that cost more than my monthly grocery bill. So I approach him, calm and direct. Hey, just so you know, this spot's actually mine, 12B. He glances at me, smirks, and says, yeah, but I'm only here overnight. Management doesn't care. And then he walks away. No apology, no consideration, just entitlement, personified. Now here's the thing about disrespect. It's not always loud. Sometimes it's silent and steady, like a slow leak that drives you insane. Every Friday, I'd come home tense. Would he be there again? Would I have to circle around, find guest parking, carry groceries half a block? And every time I saw that BMW, something in me clenched. My hands would tighten on the steering wheel. My heartbeat would pick up, because it wasn't just about the parking spot anymore. It was about the principle, about the message it sent, that some people think they can just take what they want, and the rest of us are supposed to just deal with it. So I decided I wasn't going to deal with it anymore. The following Friday, I got home earlier than usual, and instead of parking in 12B, I left it wide open, a trap set with patience. I tucked my old Beta car neatly into the guest lot, turned off the lights and waited. Sure enough, like clockwork, BMW guy rolls in around 9 p.m. His headlights sweep across the asphalt, slow and confident, like a king returning to his throne. He parks, perfectly, smugly. I can practically hear his inner monologue. Another weekend, another free space. I let him settle in, let him feel safe. Then, a few hours later, when I knew he'd be tucked away, probably watching Netflix on his designer couch, I made the call. Hi, I said calmly to the towing company. Someone's parked in my reserved spot, space 12B, license plate XYZ. The dispatcher didn't need more info. We'll send a truck right over. 20 minutes later, I heard the low growl of a diesel engine outside. I peeked through my blinds and watched as the tow truck reversed slowly, the orange lights flashing like justice itself. The driver hopped out, checked the plate, nodded, and got to work. Chains clinked. Metal groaned. The BMW lifted into the air like a spoiled prince being dragged to detention. And I won't lie, the sight was beautiful. The next morning, I walked out casually, coffee in hand, pretending not to know a thing. And there he was, BMW guy, pajama pants, slippers, messy hair, pacing in circles like a man who just discovered gravity for the first time. He's on the phone, gesturing wildly at the empty space where his car used to be. I could almost hear his words from across the lot. "It was right here. Someone had my car towed." I sipped my coffee, nodded politely as I walked by, and offered my most neutral, "Good morning." He didn't respond. He was too busy losing his mind. Later that day, I happened to walk past the leasing office. And wouldn't you know it? His voice carried through the glass door like a storm. He was yelling at the property manager. Something about unfair treatment, about unauthorized towing. But the manager, bless her soul, was calm as ever. "Sir, every tenant knows not to park in a reserved spot that isn't theirs. If you do, towing is a risk you take." That was it. No debate, no sympathy. He stormed out a few minutes later, muttering under his breath. And for once, his BMW wasn't waiting for him. Word spread fast around the complex. Apparently it cost him about $250 to get his car out of impound. And if that wasn't enough, he had to Uber there. The irony of watching him, the guy who looked down on everyone, waiting for an Uber in slippers, was pure poetry. He never parked in my spot again. Not once. In fact, now when he sees me, he waves. It's not a friendly wave. It is the kind of wave you give someone who holds the nuclear codes to your worst day. And honestly, I don't mind. Because that wave says, "I learned my lesson." Now some people might call that petty, but let's talk about that word, petty. Petty is what they call it when someone finally stands up to a small injustice that everyone else ignores. Because truthfully, it wasn't about revenge. It was about boundaries, about fairness. See, people like BMW guy, they thrive on others' silence, on the idea that you will just let it go because it is not worth the fight. But every time we let that slide, the world gets a little more unfair. So sometimes, the most powerful thing you can do is hold your ground. Even if that ground happens to be painted 12B. I didn't raise my voice. I didn't damage his car. I didn't break any rules. I simply pointed Karma in the right direction and let her do the towing. If you've ever had someone walk all over you or park in your space like they own the place, hit that subscribe button. Because this story, it's about taking back your peace, your power, and your parking spot, all without breaking a single rule. Let's get into it.